Folks, you're with Tacitus today. Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the FBI. There's, as many people have probably seen, there's lots of talk going around at the moment, more among independent media and the Republicans in Congress in the United States talk about reforming the FBI, and some are even suggesting that it has to be from the ground up. I don't know what they mean from that. The root and branch type thing. Does it mean that they fire everybody in the FBI and then start from scratch? Does it mean they just move out the top management and move in people that are not corrupted by the deep state ideology, or what do they do? Something in between? All of the above. So it's easier said than done, and I've got some experience on a much smaller scale, of course, but I've got some experience with having to turn around an organisation that was deeply, that was in a state of deep dysfunction and had sort of forgotten about its mission, commercial in the case of a business, of course, but is the FBI? I mean, do we have an idealistic view of the FBI where it's Fox Mulder from the X-Files chasing down the paranormal, or is it the FBI, the FBI agent from the 1950s who's fighting back against the Ku Klux Klan of white supremacist, Nazi, fascist Hitlers, and because there's been a sort of an idealized view of the FBI. Here are the guys who are fighting back against the baddies and bringing down the New York mafia crime families and so on and so forth. Now, I don't know how true sort of any of that was, but these people selflessly serving the American public and keeping them from harm. I don't think it was ever quite like that, but there would have been dedicated agents, and those maybe less dedicated, or all in the service at the same time. If you look at sort of J. Edgar Hoover and his need for power and the need to Hoover was realistic in a lot of ways. He knew how fickle politicians were, so he from what I understand, at least, he made sure he always had enough dirt on any politician to make sure that they wouldn't move against him, and that he would leave, when he was damn good and ready. And he had a very long tenure as he's also a part of the rooting out the communists and this sort of thing. So they did some good work, the FBI, work that was needed to be done, and some of it was questionable. But certainly since the globalists have taken over the Western body politic, so we're talking the mid-'80s onwards, the FBI has gradually become an arm and a weapon of the globalist deep state, so that they were employed actively and aggressively to undermine the presidency of Donald Trump and to undermine the key people in his administration, and to create a sense of siege amongst that administration, that they were constantly under attack and under scrutiny. Now, unfortunately, the Attorney General that Trump chose, who seemed like a good man, Jeff Sessions, he wasn't in even any way prepared for that amount of skullduggery and those constant attacks and constant underminings. He seemed to be quite confused and perplexed. He had this look of what's going on here? And whereas the Trump, from day one, Trump needed a street fighter in that role, and he never got one. And even in my view, at least, some of the other people he brought in as Attorney General, whether they were temporary or later appointments, I think they were almost as keen to sell him out as the people in the FBI were. And also the FBI were using terribly high-handed, in my view, high-handed tactics, and the way they went after General Mike Flynn and so on. Again, the Trump administration seemed almost paralyzed, just not knowing what to do. The extent of the onslaught went so deep and was so so aggressive and so persistent that they didn't really work out what was going on until 2 or 3 years into the administration. So if they hit the ground fighting from day one, it would have been a very different outcome. But anyway, coming back to the FBI, if there was any confusion about the FBI being weaponized, it struck me in 2015, 16, and all, 2016. It struck me that Trump was that the FBI was going rather soft on Hillary and was going a great deal harder on Trump and doing what they could to disrupt the election process, I think, in the beginning, but certainly the early days of his administration, they seemed to go out of the way to try and fuck it up and hinder it and harass it and harass the administration. So this was clearly a case where the FBI was being used. And even then, I perceived that the FBI was being used to harass an administration the deep state didn't want and didn't think would win. I think that Hillary was concerned that Trump might win, and I think she wanted a very large scale, vote manufacturing sort of thing to go on and more harassment of Trump. And I think her advisor said, "Hey, look, we can't harass him too much, and we're already giving him as much shit as we can. If we go too much overboard, we'll turn him into a victim, and people might vote for him. So we need to be careful of that." And I think Hillary wanted, well, all right, then we'll make sure you've got enough manufactured, curated votes. We need a few million extra votes. It looks like Trump, our polling says Trump could win. So we got we got that covered, Hillary. We've manufactured 2 or 3 million votes there. It's good, Hillary. Settle down. Yeah. And Hillary was, no. This is my estimation, incidentally. Hillary was, no, we need more votes. We don't. 3 million is not enough. 6 million, 7 million. Do as many as you need. 3 million will be enough, Hillary. And I think that's why Hillary was so pissed off. Was she wanted a mass scale vote manufacturing curation machine to go into operation, and her advisors and handlers and deep state flunkies said, don't worry, we've got it in hand. Hillary, we're taking care of it. Sit quiet, have a cup of coffee, chill out. And so she was really browned off. I told you guys to do 6 million, invent 6 million votes. The 3 million wouldn't be enough. And look what you did. You cost me the presidency, you motherfuckers. And so I think that's particularly what Hillary was up to. But the FBI obviously was playing, in my view at least, was playing a role in that. Now, if you're in any doubt about the FBI, when I think a day or two after Trump was inaugurated, there was some mass protest somewhere. I think it might have been in Washington or whatever. Again, well organized, funded, deep state put together, and all the logistics put in place. Which shows you how quickly they could put something that big into place, by the way. And Trump, James Comey, at the time the director of the FBI, he was part of that protest against Trump. And he was marching arm in arm, I think, with his other family members, as I recall. I'm going from memory here, but marching down the street proudly, showing his anti-Trump credentials while he was director of the fucking FBI, an independent, impartial law enforcement organization. Holy fuck. So this is the extent of it. And if you look at the not director level, director level, but also go 2 or 3 levels down, there was still, the Peter Strocks and the Pages, all this sort of thing. And they were more than just flunkies who were being told what to do. Hey, Peter, go and get Mike Flynn, General Mike Flynn. You're going to find a way. I don't know, invent something. Do whatever you got to do. Just neutralize the guy. All right. It was more than that. This is a guy who was really committed to ideologically. He was right in there. He was right in the deep state ideological fight against those who would oppose the deep state. Now that's kind of crazy. You wouldn't think people at his level would be that ideologically committed to undermining the rule of law, undermining the democratic process, undermining the will of the people, undermining not only the rule of law but your legal process itself. So you wouldn't think somebody that low down. You'd say the director and assistant director and that sort of thing. Okay, maybe them, but you wouldn't think other people would be doing that ideologically. I wouldn't anyway. But nonetheless, so I don't know how far down the chain it goes, but but the accountability of the FBI needs to be there, and they have very, very clear policies of what they can and can't do, as in adherence to legal standards, and that this needs to be receive vigorous oversight by Congress. Now, the dangerous thing, I think, is that the Congress, because it's so deep state, globalist cabal politicized, is it even possible to give the FBI oversight? Can it receive any apolitical oversight? I don't know if it's even possible. So even if you change the people there, the deep state, as soon as they can do it, will just change the people back again into inserting their own ideological fanatics or people they can compromise. They don't have to be ideological fanatics. People they can compromise is quite enough. People they can bribe is quite enough. It's wonderful what a waterfront mansion with a yacht and so on can do to change people's minds over what's legal and what's illegal. Also, they can be compromised in the sense of, hey, look, your son's at university. We can make it happen that a large bag of white powder is found in his apartment seconds before the police walk in the door. I'm not saying it has to happen, but if you do what we want, we can make those problems go away. This sort of thing. So now I'll come now to how hard it is to do it. I was brought in as VP of this company that was had some wonderful technology and some very inventive sort of people in there that had come and gone, but they lost their way and they turned into a corrupt sort of useless outfit, even though they had so much promise. It's hard to believe that a business with just so much going for it could be doing as badly as it was. But anyway, the CEO had decided that he was paranoid about loyalty and things like that. So he decided that people he'd known for a long time from high school and college and friends of the family, all this sort of stuff, that if he employed those sort of people, he would have their loyalty. Now, and therefore, he was happy with that. Now, just because someone's loyal doesn't mean they're effective or competent or know what they're doing. Now, loyalty comes in two forms. You can be loyal, or a number of forms, but loyal in the sense of you won't deliberately, willfully, treacherously stab someone in the back, for example, that type of loyalty. But loyalty also can be that you want to do a very good job, as in be very effective at your job to make the company successful and or contribute to the company's success. So in that way, you're being loyal to the company's goals and objectives, and then in so doing, you're supporting the CEO in as much as the business will be successful and he'll do well and that sort of thing. But also there's loyalty in the sense of not exploiting opportunities to line your own pocket at the businesses at the expense of the business. So this was something that was going on. These people were loyal to the CEO who knew him. Many of them had known him since high school. Some of them since early school, kindergarten, for goodness sakes. That's how long they went back. So they perceived themselves as friends, but they also, because of that friendship, they perceived that they were entitled. Therefore, why should I have to work hard? He's my friend. I'm entitled to this. The CEO is my friend. I'm entitled to this. Now, I was brought in as an outsider. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know the CEO or any of the people there. So I was the big outsider. So I was deeply resented because of that, by the way. You're not one of us. And what right do you have to tell us what to do? That sort of thing. But the amount of people that were running these very, very creative expense accounts, they would decide they had important clients to go and see, just happened to be on Fridays, and they just happened to be at a lavish beachfront resort that was all billed to the company. So they would have these. So there was this flocking of many of the staff to these employees to these waterfront, beachfront, and we're talking resorts. We're talking 5.5 star, 6 star type resorts. We're not talking 2.5 star We're talking top of the range shit here, and they it was big bucks for the rooms. They would dine there and with the champagne, and so the bills would come in. The company was just paying it all, not even questioning it. And other where the guys were working there, their wives were doing, a multi-level selling plans for clothes or anything they could lay their hands on, and they were doing these lavish parties, hiring out hotel suites, fully catered. Again, billing this all to the company, and there was other things going. The company had things where they'd loan people interest free for various alleged purposes. What they were using it for was to buy property, run down property, refurb it, which is all for free, and make a killing on flipping the property, and then only then would they pay the money back, and it was all interest free. So it wasn't, they had zero risk, and if they flipped the property for less than they expected, they would then ask for a payment plan so they could pay what they owed over a few years rather than pay it back in a lump sum, and these sorts of things. So all these scams, and others, by the way, were going on. There was things where they would say this is, the various computers that were used by the staff and the employees, that they had one scam where they would declare perfectly good, current technology computers. They declared them as damaged and useless, and they had to be thrown out, thrown in the garbage. And so new computers would be bought and put on the desk. So then the employees, they would say, well, if that's got to be thrown out, I'll give you $1 for it, and then would buy a $3,000 computer for $1 that was perfectly workable in every way, and take that home, and they get themselves effectively a free current technology a desktop computer or laptop computer or whatever. So these were the sort of things going on, and this is when I arrived. This was all happening. So they were, in my view, incredibly disloyal to this guy who gifted him the job that many of them weren't qualified to do. And instead of supporting him and being grateful for the opportunity, they were entitled or felt entitled, and didn't give a shit about the business. And the attitude was, well, if business goes broke, fine, I'll just go and get a job somewhere else. Who cares? But while I'm here, I'll milk it for what I can. And I remember having conversations with them and saying, well, don't you concerned about that? I mean, he's Billy Bob's giving you the easy gig here, and it's quite a well-paid gig. Why wouldn't you want to sort of, achieve, follow through on the goals and objectives of the business? Why would you want to line your pocket like this, knowing that it was quite harmful for the business? Well, I don't know. No one's told me I can't do it, and the attitude was incredibly casual. But in my view, it was disloyalty. The thing. Now I see this the way the FBI is behaving is disloyalty to the United States and disloyalty to the American public, in my view. And that's what I draw the parallel with my experience in the private sector. But I tried to get people off their bad behaviour, but it was next to impossible. They were so used to having their snouts in the trough, their standard of living, their day-to-day existence, the cars they drove, the houses they lived in, the cash they had to go out for nice dinners, and that was all. It was all something that they now were so used to that they considered an outrage if they were denied it. So this idea of going on Friday to these luxury resorts, and that invariably they would, the way it worked is that they would stay the Friday and the Saturday night, because they get the plane flight up to wherever it was. Then they would stay the Friday night. They would have a lavish Friday dinner with the champagne and the lobsters and the whole 9 yards. Then they would stay on Saturday at their expense, and then fly back at the company's expense. So really they were having a nice little weekend away for just one night that they were paying for. So anyway, this is and some of them were under the scam where they pay extra for the first night and get the second night free, and so that was a scam as well. But I cut all that out, and there was screaming and crying. So why can't we do that? And I said, no, fuck off. You're not doing it. If you've got a legitimate business reason to do it, fine, and we can talk about that. But you don't have a business reason to go there. I've got a client up there. I don't give a fuck. Go and see the client and fly back on Friday afternoon or Friday evening, but you're not staying up at the hotel unless you need to, unless there's a sound business reason. You need to convince me there's a sound, and the disgruntled and the mumbling and the grumbling and the I don't like you and all this sort of thing. And they can behave like fucking children. And the other stuff, I cut out all the illegitimate expenses. And I just had to say to people, look, if you're not going to change your behaviour, you're going to have to find another job. You're ripping off the company to the tune of thousands, many thousands every month. And the company's losing a lot of money. Now, I even got the books out and said, look, here's the amount of money the company's losing every month. Because I wanted to be quite clear, look, there's sound, legitimate reasons why your behaviour has to change. These are illegitimate expenses. And I'd show them the books. So look, here it is. The company's losing gazillions, and this is just the expenses, that illegitimate expenses that are being $125,000 to $150,000 a month, completely illegitimate expenses, and that's before we get to some of the more creative expenses and things like that. So that was just that one department, by the way. So they just look at it and go, oh, no, I don't care. Stop everyone else. Stop they're ripping the place off, but I still want to do it. I had wives calling me on the phone. You can't do this, and we want to buy a nice new house for. Well, why can't? Well, I want a new house. Why can't I do it? And so this was the insanity and the level of it. And I'm mentioning this because it illustrates the difficulty in changing attitudes. Now, the FBI is not so much, people are corruptly making money. Well, I suppose they might, but maybe they're getting illegitimate payments from NGOs that are globalist controlled or something. But it's more ideological in their case, or hiring flunkies that couldn't even sweep a floor and giving them jobs that they otherwise couldn't get. There could be some of that, but it's more ideological in the case of the FBI rather than the sort of corrupt practices that I'm mentioning here. But nonetheless, you could point out, look, the company will go broke in a year if we don't do something about this. We don't curtail these expenses. Oh, well, so why is that my problem? And holy fuck! So it was a really tough gig, and a lot of them had to be got rid of. Not that it was easy, because the CEO would say, well, look, I understand that these people have misbehaved. I get that. And we'd sit down and talk about it. I get that. But I've known that guy since primary school. I can't sanction you to get rid of him and fire him. I've known him. We used to play together. We played sandcastles on the beach together and this sort of thing. And I did sympathise, but I understood. I did empathise with. So, okay, no, I do get that. But he's been, if he is your friend, why did he rip you off like this? If he is someone that you have complete trust and confidence in, he used that confidence and that trust to steal. Just last year alone, he's stolen close to $80,000-$90,000 from the company. Isn't that something that concerns you? Like if he is your friend, why did he do that? And if he did do it, then he's not really your friend. He's not the trusted person that he thinks you're giving him a job he didn't really deserve. Is just open slather to steal whatever he wants. That's not how friendship works. Now again, I was the outsider here, so I was coming in between this guy and his buddy from kindergarten. But anyway, I did to get some of them out. There was other people that were pretending to work. They'd come in the morning and do a bit of shuffle a few papers around. They'd be doing full-time university courses, 5 days a week at university, all being paid handsomely by the business. And I used to wonder, why do these people not get anything done? Why are they not producing or anything? So I started to look into it and found that a number of them are just going to attending university courses full time, while they're getting a full salary, they're getting a company car and all this sort of thing. Fuck. And then on Friday they'd go for their little junkets up on some beachfront property. They thought it was great. And I caught all of them out at it and said, no, it's and they were outraged. You can't do this to me. I've only got another 6 months to go before I've got my degree or my PhD or my master's. So I don't care. You've been ripping off the company for years and getting away with it. I should be calling in the fraud squad and having you fucking, charged. But since you got away with it for so long, I'm going to give you a break here. You stop it right now. And do some productive work, and then I'll let it go. But if you're not prepared to do that, then you're out of here, buddy. But again, the outrage, the indignation. How dare you do this to me? I've been stealing and getting away with it for years, and now you want me to stop the stealing? You asshole, motherfucker. And this sort of thing. So changing the culture of an attitude of any organisation, be it in the private sector or not, whether it be financially related or culturally related, attitude related or ideological, it's not easy. And it won't be tough to reform the FBI. Can it be done? Well, I can only hope so. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.